broadcast studio. Indigenous round ends, but it's sadly marred by 2 racism incidents. More on that soon. Tonight, Hawk star Jack Gunston joins us. Leia and Shelley have all the latest news. Flashbacks will bring a smile to North fans. And we've got live music by Glenn Scewthorpe. Once again, please put it together for Gilbert McAdam, my co-host.
Great to be back on the Marngrook Footy Show tonight, but don't talk about the Bulldogs beating the Saints. Let's move on.
Gilly. I know you heard him. Please welcome to the panel, Rockin' Ronnie Burns and Ronnie. Good to see you tonight. Big weekend.
Yeah, no, it was a big weekend, and I didn't catch up with my mate over there, but I actually sent a cheerio to Troy Cook, Dale Kickett, Mickey Long, and Wirrapunda. Real champions, those guys.
So you got new friends now, and you forgot
yes,
about,
I have
you
really
forgot
good
about us.
friends. Really good friends. So good cheerio. They didn't even want to catch up with you because you're too busy floating around the MCG. Too good for us.
And Chris, a big welcome to you. Your former club, the Brisbane Lions, a big game against the Pies this weekend.
Yeah, it's a pretty rare occasion hosting a Friday night game. So against Collingwood, against a quality opposition as well, and there'll be some young guys getting an opportunity to stand up. Obviously, Brown, Leuenberger, Rockcliffe out. So it's going to be a great opportunity for those young boys that come in.
And it's your birthday today. Happy birthday, Chris. And on the end there, the Duck, and lots of talk about your former club tonight, Duck. The old flashbacks features the Kangaroos way back in, I think, the early 90s there. It's an exciting piece of footage to watch.
Yep, looking forward to that. Well, we actually won that game, so, yeah, let's flash back to that a bit later.
What'd you kick?
I've been told tonight I kicked 3.
OK, he's got a good memory. Yes, Chris's birthday.
Oh, alrighty, Chris, you know what?
Here we go.
I actually couldn't afford it. Well, we actually got, we know you love your pizza. So I got you. Do you want to blow that? And that's a meat lover.
That'll make it his 7th piece of the night.
So we'll just leave that there for him. So you eat that when you're ready.
That'll disappear in a commercial break. Don't worry about that.
Now, Gilly, on a more serious issue on the weekend, there was 2 racism incidents that happened. It sort of overshadowed the Indigenous round. It was a fantastic game of football on the weekend, but just those 2 incidents. There was a girl on Friday night, a young girl came out, made a racial statement, probably didn't realise what she said at the time. Eddie came out on the front foot, stuck up for the Collingwood Football Club and its supporters, and said there was a zero tolerance about racism. Yeah. A couple of days later, we see Eddie on radio and talking about, perhaps that Adam Goodes should be promoting the King Kong musical that's coming to Melbourne, and obviously a lot of talk about that, and just want to know what your feelings are about Eddie, and people saying that he should stand down. Gilly, what's your thoughts?
Look, first of all, I'll tell you what I'm going to say first. I'm going to say this Marngrook Footy Show is the greatest show, AFL show in Australia. What it does, everybody's spoken about it. All the media said stuff on radio, television, everything else. Everybody's opinions, and everyone's entitled to one, has been good. But you know what? No Indigenous comment from a former player or Indigenous people that's played the game. That's why I love this show, because we're going to get an Indigenous content. Yeah. We'll get it from me. We'll get it from me. Get it from whoever wants to comment. But you know what? First of all, I'm going to start off by saying what a stupid comment it was by Eddie. I don't know Eddie. I've come across him only with an interview. Don't know him. What he said, it's not acceptable. All right. It's a stupid comment, but you know what? What's been done and said, it's already been said now, OK? So what we need to do, we need to move forward. Eddie Maguire, he's the biggest personality in the media in this country. There's no question about that. He has to be part of the reconciliation process, because that's what's going to happen now through the AFL and all that sort of stuff. But you know what, brother? I thought really hard, how could I finish it off? This is how I'm going to finish it off. It always takes a tragedy or a disaster to bring people together. That's it.
Well, Gilly, Eddie has apologised profusely, and Adam obviously still pretty hurt with the comments, but
he shouldn't resign though, because we need him.
Okay, well sometimes it takes a big person to come out and say, look, I'm sorry and I've done the wrong thing, and Eddie has acknowledged that, and hopefully that. I think it's good that these things pop up now and again, Gil, because it's all about that education process. There's a lot of non-Indigenous people out there that don't have Aboriginal friends, so they're still not sure what to say and what's acceptable and what's not. So when these issues raise their ugly head, it's a good time to educate ourselves. And people might be saying now, I'm over this, I'm over Adam Goods, and I'm over this, and what does that name mean? And, you know, everyone's thin-skinned. But
it grew its ugly head again.
Yeah,
that's
but it's a good education process, don't you think, Gilbert? It helps educate people, so that's what it's about.
But let's move forward now.
But, Ronnie, just on racism in general, it's just not a thing that's on the football field, is it? It's out there in society.
Well, it's not going to go away, but it's about, you said that word, it's about educating people out there. And, I mean, this time, I mean, Adam Goods is a guy that's was targeted and actually hurting about it, and then we support him, we love the man, he's a great fella, and we absolutely adore him and love him. But, again, it's about educating people right across our nation. So it's something that we've just got to go along with.
Chris, just in terms with the AFL and where it goes to from here, I know the AFL have a zero tolerance when it comes to racism off the field, on the field, off the field sort of thing. What would happen now with Eddie? He has to go through some sort of tribunal process. What happens? Yeah,
look, it'll be dealt with in-house. It'll be kept confidential for some time now until they get the right system right, that Eddie can go through some sort of pro, as what they do with players as well, that racial vilified anyone. They'll go through a process where Eddie will be involved and a lot of other people will be involved as well, and they'll try to just get the best outcome, whether it's to be involved in Indigenous programs, and we know he does a lot already with Indigenous programs in the Collingwood Football Club and with the AFL, and I think it's just about, again, as Gilbert said, it takes a tragedy like this for somebody to stand up and admit that they're wrong, but I reckon there's going to be a lot of good come out of it as well.
And Duck, what do you make of these incidents on the weekend?
Oh, just to reiterate what the boys have said and what you said, Grant, I think from two mistakes, and firstly from the 13-year-old girl, and I think the way Adam handled that, the way the AFL, the way Eddie handled it at the time, I thought was first class. And what you said before, in that what this will do is bring about education. I mean, I know that for a fact so many parents would have gone home and spoken to their kids. I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and at some stage over the next couple of weeks, I'll sit her down and have a chat to her about similar things. And I think that's the benefit that we get from what was two mistakes.
Okay. Well said, Duck. Well, Gilly, we might just leave it there. Now it's time for the AFL News this week with Layla Guruwiwi.
Thanks, Grant. St Kilda coach Scott Waters said today he hasn't focused on the Kangaroos' recent fade-outs in close games, but is more concerned with his own team plans.
You know, we're very focused on our need to improve and our game plan and developing our younger players. So whatever situation eventuates at the end of the game, we'll be prepared either way.
Gary Ablett returns to Geelong on the weekend. Cats coach Chris Scott saying he hopes the fans treat the champ with respect.
Gary's a much-loved figure in Geelong. Certainly within our footy club as well, we've got a lot of respect for the player that he has been, not only as a Geelong person, but the levels he's taken his game to since he left.
The top of the ladder has a distinct 80s look with Hawthorn, Geelong and Essendon in the top 3 spots. As the weeks go by, it gets harder for the Pies and the Tigers in 10th and 11th to make an impression on the finals, and GWS remains winless on the bottom. Our first snap of the week is all the way from Ireland. Marie Feeney sent this photo in of her baby Eon, perhaps a fan of Mardi Gras. Jeff from Ballarat sent in this photo of his friend Kerry with Captain Carlton on hand to save the day. And here's a few familiar faces launching North Melbourne's Indigenous Academy last week. The Great Cracker Brothers with our very own Gilly. And a couple of quick tips. Gary Ablett may be returning home, but I think Geelong will take the points. And the Pies will bounce back despite their controversial week. And it's a pity it's all overshadowed a great Indigenous round, as you said, Grant. And I think that people need to realise that this isn't about Goodsy or Eddie, it's about the bigger picture of underlying racism and prejudice within our country. So we'd like to hear your opinion on this issue, so please tweet us using the hashtag Marngrook. And it's back to you, Grant.
Thank you, Layla. Well, Gilly, let's go to our first game tonight. The Swans take on Essendon Saturday at the SCG. And straight to Sydney, Gilly.
Yeah, good to see Mitchell in there along with Welsh. He's getting the game. That's good stuff. Reed's out with a quad. He's been terrific for them, and Lamb's been omitted for the Essendon Bombers. Gee, they're travelling really well. Gumbleton, he's back in the side. Hurley, they're going to miss Hurley with an ankle. Let's hope it's not too long. But gee, how good are the Bombers, fellas?
They're going well.
Funny, he is everywhere at the minute. I turned on the news before I came here tonight. You bobbed up on the news. I reckon if I went out the back and had a bowl of soup, you'd bob up in that. You are everywhere.
Oh, well, someone's got to talk, I suppose.
Doug, let's talk about Essendon. They avoided losing 3 straight games in a row there. They come out against Richmond on the weekend and beat them. But it's a big game this weekend. Jobe Watson, he starred against the Swans the last couple of occasions. So the Swans just have that midfield group of players to be able to tag Jobe Watson.
Yeah, they do. He's a sensational player. Just signed for 4 years, so congratulations to the Bombers and also Jobe Watson. He's been a terrific player. But you're right, they're up against a seasoned side in the Sydney Swans, and they are very good through the midfield. So this is a different kettle of fish to last week. I know Richmond are very good through the midfield, but Sydney Swans, last year's premiers, they'll find it a little bit tougher.
And Chris, with the overshadowing of the racism incident on the weekend, but Goodsy, he was sensational. 3 goals, 30 disposals. People forgot what a fantastic game he played, and he must have had BO or something because no one wanted to go near him. No one wanted to pick him up.
You're right, Granny. He was just he had a great game, and I reckon he's going to be put in that category a bit similar to the guy next to him on my left, and like the Herds and like the Vosses. We forget how good Adam Goods is. He's been around for quite some time, and he's been outstanding year in, year out, and he's only getting better. He's like that bottle of wine, just keeps getting better with age.
You don't even drink wine. So
I was going to ask Rocket about the Sydney Swans. People talking about Essendon. I just reckon with the Swans the last couple of weeks, Ronnie, they seem to be getting back on track after those early sort of losses. Where do you see the Swans at the moment?
Well, I see him flying at the moment, and you mentioned Goods. Cheddar's hitting some form again, and this young kid, Hannenberry, he's just becoming a real elite star. I think he's up there in the Brownlow. They've just got a good balance at the moment. They're midfielders. They're dominating at the moment, so this is going to be a good clash. 2 mighty midfielders with Essendon and Sydney Swans, so it's going to be a terrific game.
Well, we should get some tips, and I might point out too that Sydney have won the last 3 out of 4 against the Bombers. So, Duck, we'll go straight to you.
The fact that it's at the SCG, I'm going to go with last year's Premier Sydney.
Yeah, look, I just think the second stringers of Essendon's midfield are going to struggle against a great Swans team. So the Swans.
Rock and Ronnie, Essendon for you?
Yeah, no, I'm going to go for the Swannies.
Yeah, Gilly, Swannies for me at home.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go for the Swannies because the SCG factor, the smaller oval, and I reckon Bombers, they need space to run. So Swans for me.
OK, Gilly, well, let's go to our next game now. Adelaide taking on Fremantle. Here's one at Football Park on Saturday, and no changes for Adelaide.
No, there's no changes, but I've been told to say the emergency's right. Martin and Henderson, good to see Henderson back in there for the Fremantle Dockers. Talking about champions, good to see Hill. He's back in the side. He hasn't played for quite a while. Sutcliffe's out with an injury, but what a magnificent win by the Adelaide Crows. What a comeback. Great win by them.
Well, yes, it was a great game, Gilbert. But, Chris, I'll go first to you. There's Jenkins, Kerridge, Petrenko kicked that winning goal last week. They were fantastic. They seem to be gelling up forward in the absence of Kurt Tippett leaving the club, and it was a bit hard for them to get their head around him not being up in the forward line, but they seem to have sort of evened things out a little bit now.
Well, they're finding some avenues towards goal, Grant, which is great for Adelaide because there was big question marks who was going to replace all the goals that Walker were going to kick. And Jenkins is standing up, and Petrenko was there a little bit as well, but you know, the Dangerfield wasn't, I think he might have kicked 1 or 2 on the weekend, but he's stepping in as well. So they're really finding great avenues to goal, and that's the key. Kerridge as well. Yeah, he had 6, but he hasn't had a consistent game, but you need him to keep being more consistent as well.
Those 3 guys kicked 11 out of the 18 goals, so it was a good effort. But, Duck, we're going to get a selection on this one just quickly.
Yeah,
Adelaide
played on a very good player in Ferreiro also last week. Yeah. They, let's be honest, they won the unwinnable game last week, Adelaide, so they weren't that good. They weren't that good. But for me, I just think Fremantle. I think Fremantle will be
Chris?
Yeah, I'll have to stick with Freo.
I reckon...
a former club,
yeah,
one of them.
Oh, Ducks as well. He only spent 10 minutes there and I spent 5. I reckon Adelaide Crows might just squeeze it. And young McKernan was terrific in the ruck too last week. He was sensational.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going for Adelaide Crows at home. The Crows.
No, look, I was impressed with Fremantle. Last week they were up by 100 points and they still playing their defensive game, and people, they were actually getting booed by their own supporters. They did that because this week it might come down to 1 goal, and that's why they did it. That's why they're going to win. I'm going with the Dockers.
OK, Gilly, let's go to Shelley now with tonight's special guest.
Oh, Grooker. Oh, what was that? We've got Jack with us here after the break. We'll be back, Grant.
Kicking goals, he's taking marks. The youngster, terrific.
had a huge impact at the Hawks after coming back from Adelaide. Please welcome Jack Gunston to Marngrook. Welcome, Jack. Good to have you on.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, now, we understand that you come from Victoria originally. You were drafted by Adelaide and you only stayed there for a couple of seasons. Was the pull to come back home too strong for you? What happened in Adelaide and why did you want to come home?
Yeah, the main reason was just to play footy in front of family and friends. There was obviously a great opportunity to come back so early in my career and sort of forge a long career, hopefully at Hawthorn. And yeah, that was just the opportunity that I wanted to take. And yeah, I had a good time in Adelaide, but yeah, I just saw a sort of great opportunity at Hawthorn.
Jack, I've watched you play a fair bit, you know, when you first started and obviously now, and you've gradually, you continue to improve all the time, but it must be hard when you've got Roughhead, Franklin, Rioli and those guys, and I don't mean hard in terms of going out there and actually getting a kick, but you feel, I guess, conscious of where they are all the time. You don't want to run into their space, so you're feeling like you're getting in the road. Did you feel like that in the early days?
Yeah, I guess you did. You're sort of a bit starstruck around guys like that, and you don't want to get in their way, and you want to have a good connection with them. But as you sort of build the games and you play more with them, the relationship gets better, and yeah, now they're conscious of me going, and I'm conscious of them, and it's starting to work really well.
So you're a lot more confident now leading into your own space, and if Buddy's not there in time, you just go for the ball.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that's a great thing about our forward line. We've got a lot of attacking options, and yeah, everyone sort of plays their role and knows when it's their turn to go.
Oh, look, Jack, great to come on the show. I always call you Norman Gunston when I do the selections. If it's not good, just let me know and I'll change it. But anyway, now, look, I just wanted to say, look, you've running about you at the Adelaide Crows, I noticed you had a good mark on you and you've kicked something like 59 goals. Since you've come over to the Hawthorn Footy Club, how would you find the setup in terms of the professionalism of both different clubs, Adelaide compared to Hawthorn?
Yeah, well, both clubs are very professional in the way they go about things, and they've got similar training regimes and similar sort of off-field commitments that you got to adhere to. And yeah, Adelaide was a great club and very professional, and just like Hawthorn here, with I think of sort of Clarkson and Jack Russell, our fitness advisor from Adelaide, and they've come over, and yeah, it's always professional sort of organisation you're in.
Jack, I know these guys know how you feel, starstruck. They turn up every Thursday. I'm here, so that's okay. But stick with me, Jack. The other thing is, hang on. Mate, you're enjoying yourself. You're enjoying yourself at the Hawks, but your dad Ray's just been appointed CEO at the Essendon Footy Club. Congratulations, Ray. And when he had a contract.
End of next year.
He's going the Bombers. What's it like at home, though, with that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we spoke for the first time the other day since he got the job, and I asked him how it was, and he said it was full of meetings, and then I sort of asked him to go into a bit of detail, and he wouldn't. So I won't tell him about anything about Hawthorn, and he won't tell me anything about Essendon.
Jack, a lot of people think that you're just a marking target, but on the vision there, it shows that you get a lot of ground level ball and win your own footy as well. Is that something that you've always sort of strived towards?
Yeah, definitely. I guess I sort of grew when I was probably 17, 18. So throughout my juniors, I was just a midfield type player, and that was sort of the main area that I worked on. I think, I had sort of great coaches around me when I was young that sort of knew the AFL system and knew what you needed to know. And that's something that I keep instilling in my game. And as you say, I'm sort of starting to get up on the wing as well. So it's good to get a few more touches up there.
And does Bud tell you to get out every now and then?
Always.
Yeah, just, I mean, I love watching Hodgie play as well, but I mean, as a player playing with someone like Rioli, I actually love watching Rioli play. He can spin on a 2-cent piece. I mean, out there watching him, how do you feel like he's phenomenal when he gets the ball and that?
Oh, no matter whether he's sort of out of position or he's 2-on-1, you know he's going to either halve the contest or win the contest. And he's a great player, and I remember back to my first game, he took that big hanger on Heath Shaw, and I was sitting on the bench, I was the sub, and I couldn't believe it. I was pretty much out of my chair cheering for him. So, he's a great player, and he's we're very lucky to have him on my team.
Well, Jack, just sit tight because we're going to go to that game now. Melbourne taking on the Hawks. Sunday at the G, Gilly, and we'll go straight to the Melbourne team. A few changes this week.
Oh, yeah, good to see Roden back there with McDonald and Strauss and Spencer, Fitzpatrick, Peterson and Kent. Out the side, Burns is out with wrist. Magnus omitted along with Jenner. And gone for the Hawks. Osborne, good to see him back there with Hale, the ex-North, Birchall and Savage and mate over here, Norman Dunstan. He's out with a calf, brother. What's going on with the calf?
Oh, just a little twinge late in the game last week, and yeah, they're pretty dangerous sort of things to risk. So it's good to have a week off and then
Careful,
the
though,
bye next
baby
week.
cows. They're not good.
Duck, let's talk about Melbourne for the moment.
Oh, thanks, mate. You give me the good question about Melbourne.
How's been one
What
of the
can we say about Melbourne?
Well, there's two players that have performed pretty well this year. One's Howe and one's Nathan Jones. They've been consistent right from round one.
That's about it. Two players that have performed okay. Jones and sorry about that, but they haven't performed fantastically well. And obviously, Jared Healy made the comments this week that the coach has got maybe 2 more weeks and they play Hawthorn and Collingwood. So,
Is that spot on? You reckon?
Well, he would have to know something. His brother works at the club, so I dare say that in that case, 2 weeks' time.
Chris, you've got Hodge, Franklin, Roughhead. The Demon defence, they're going to be under the pump with those big forwards playing up there, and just too hard to contain for Melbourne. It'll be a good learning experience for them.
Yeah, it's going to be. Their back six are going to have a headache. They're going to have a headache. It's going to be unbelievable for them because the midfield the midfield are going to need to have to help them as well. Shut up.
What are they going to do? Stop making a case.
Mate, they've got to do something. Surely they've got to just flood numbers back. But the midfield of Hawthorn is just too good. I lost it. I don't know what I'm talking about now.
So no chance for Melbourne, obviously, this weekend.
Well, it's simple. Buddy's kicked 29. He'll kick 29 against Melbourne.
All right, let's get a selection. Go to Duck. You obviously go Hawthorn. Anyone brave enough to go for Melbourne?
I'd have to go.
Billy, are you brave enough to go for Melbourne?
Oh no! Look, but I just hope they have a go, fellas. Just have a go. But Hawthorn. But I just want these to have a crack. Have a go.
Hawthorn easily, you're right there, Gil. Well, let's go to the next game, and it's Geelong taking on the Gold Coast. It's under lights, the first time at Virginia Park on Saturday night, Gilly.
Oh, it's going to be massive. It's the first one. Good to see Kelly back there. Vardy, great to see him back. He's going to be key for them later in the year. Podsiali's out with a knee, and Thurlow's been rested, Ronnie. I don't like it when they say rested. For the Suns, good to see Risicelli and Horsley, Wilkinson, Nichols and Sumner, the South Australian Nunga. He's in there, out of the side. Brendan, he's been omitted. Broughton and May and Hutchins and Lonergan.
Oh, you finished?
No, I want young Sumner. He's a Nunga. He's a South Australian Nunga.
Yeah, okay. Jack, the Gold Coast, they've been improving since last year. Their back half's been playing some really good football the last few weeks, but this week they'll come up against guys like Hawke and Stokes, Christensen, Motlop. All those guys are on fire, so they're going to be on a very steep learning curve as well this week and playing against a good quality opposition, but it'll give them a bit of a chance to test themselves out.
Yeah, definitely. We played Gold Coast last week, and they really sort of tested us right to the end, and they've got a great group of young players coming through, and I'm sure against another good outfit they'll have a crack. And yeah, there's obviously some great players for Geelong there, and I think, yeah.
Jack, you don't care you're out this week. So.
I hope that someone else is going to get injured, Jack. Get the spot back. But Duck Gazza is going back to play against his old side down, and he obviously still loves the club, and he'll be really keen to do well.
Yeah, as you said before, first night game down at the old Cardinia Park, but I think it's his first game, obviously down in Geelong against his old club, so there'll be a little bit of emotion. I actually think he'll get a good reception down there because I think there's the romantics that think that Gazza may go back to Geelong after he's finished at the Gold Coast.
It is a disappointing thing in football.
Well, there's talk that he, you just never know.
Yeah. The disappointing thing in football too is when champions do go back to their old club, they get booed, don't they?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think that's going to happen to Gaz.
It couldn't happen to you because you hadn't gone back to Fitzroy.
True.
I just want to ask you, Chrissy, I want to ask you something about the Gold Coast Suns, because they were magnificent against the Hawks last week. You know, they tested themselves last week against one of the best sides in the comp. What a good time now to test themselves against probably the best side, informed side in the competition. they won't shy away from a challenge because they were good last week.
Gilbert, I reckon that's probably the hardest road trip to do. Go down to Patterson Stadium. What's the name of the Simmons Stadium? Go down there to win against Geelong's tough. You know, they talk about going over to the west and all those sorts of things, but going down there, I think they're the only team in the AFL that have an unfair advantage playing. I think they've got 9 games down there this year.
Yeah, and I think 7 of those in the second half of the year. They've only played 2 down there already.
But you haven't answered my question about the Suns.
Yeah, I don't reckon they're going to be good enough, mate.
It's not about Geelong.
They're not going to be good enough.
Okay,
it's
we'll
too
leave
hard.
Let's get a selection.
I agree with you though, Gilly. They were very good against Hawthorn, and they're a much improved side, but they won't beat Geelong down at.
Chris, your selection.
I'll have to go to Cats.
Ronnie.
They're playing night game.
Yeah, night game.
They've come a long way since
hours down here since you left, Ronnie.
What were you doing down there at night time?
They had the torches up when we were training. That's okay. Mate, Cat is going to win easily.
Jack, Cats.
Yeah, I think Cats too strong.
Cats for me too, Gilly, easily.
Oh, I think Gary Ablett will kick 10 and... I'm not joking. Look, Cats for me as well.
Okay, Gilly, it's time now for Ronnie's bloopers. Should be interesting. Over to you, Ronnie.
Oh, what's he got for us, man?
My bloopers. Jack, I love the banners. I actually take a lot of time when I go to the football, watch the banners, but we've got some footage over here with some of the banners here. When I was running through banners, they got actually like cuts in them now so the players don't get hurt. Like, what's going on there? Like, they've actually got slits, and we see Carlton here, like, they've got them cut open. West Coast have got them cut open. Do you know what's going on there?
I think it's getting too dangerous with the sticky tape now. You can't run through them.
A bit dangerous running through a banner.
Probably a health risk.
Ronnie,
There's a lot of boys.
You're never captain, so you never ran through it first. You just used to hide back. It's actually, it was one of those things where you ran out and the Kangaroo faithful made very good banners, but just running through them, if they made them really, it was actually tough to get through them, and I think it is. Injuries. I got stuck in them a couple of times.
The players are getting softer. Some of the players run around it, Gilly.
Listen, I've got a theory for that, and I'll tell you what the theory is.
Listen to this, Jack.
The theory is, because, Ronnie, I didn't play a lot of games, but when I played my 100th, I said to the cheer squad, where I run through, just leave it open. And because I was a person that I didn't like touching the banner before the game. I was superstitious.
That's going to stop you from playing a good game.
Well, that's just how I was, Chrissy. I didn't touch the banner.
I feel sorry for the poor
So maybe that's what it is.
Gilly, I feel sorry for the poor cheer squad. It takes them hours and hours to make the banner during the week, and no one wants to run through it or touch it. What's the point of making it? Unbelievable.
Scratch the banners.
Okay, Jack, it's time to let you go, mate. Thanks for coming on tonight, and good luck for the rest of the season. Jack Gunston, everybody. One of the Hawk young guns coming through. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with Marngrook flashbacks.
Mark Roberts to come away with it on the left foot. McAdam. Adrian McAdam directly in front for goal number 9. He stabs. That's it, right through the middle. A sensational performance again.
What a fantastic effort there by Adrian McAdam back in round 10, 1993. 9 goals against Collingwood at Victoria Park, Gilbert. And tell me, was he the best McAdam footballer in the family?
Oh, no, he wasn't the best. But look, one thing...
Who was the best?
Well, it wasn't me. Greg, the older brother. He was the best. A lot of people never seen the best of Greg McAdam. But I wanted to say one thing about that game, or about Adrian was... he played with Duck, so Duck played a lot of junior footy with him at North Adelaide, didn't you, Duck?
Yep. Yeah, played. He was a terrific junior footballer as well. Played an under-17 premiership with him, and then came to the Kangaroos. But in his first 3 games, I think it was 7, 6, and 10 were his first 3 games.
Yeah,
and pretty good start.
And Duck, one of my worst memories, but one of my greatest memories, was me actually standing him at the MCG. We done it at Breadshaw Drive in Alice Springs, where we grew up, and we used to pretend we was at the MCG. That was one of my proudest moments to stand Adrian. I thought I beat him that day.
He killed you.
But he only had 7 kicks, Ronnie, but he kicked 5 goals. He did.
Now,
but you know what? We won, so...
Duck, 1993, that's when Dennis Pagan came to the club and started to set up that new era. Adrian kicked, in the first 10 games, 52 goals. You kicked 3 goals that day. Did you sort of stand back and just sort of grandstand a bit and thought, how good's this guy going to be?
Yeah, look, he was, like I said, first 3 games, 7, 6 and 10. He played 36 games, I think, 36 or 38 games. In his first 17, he kicked 67 goals. So he had an amazing first year. It was incredible. And you're right, when you sit back and a player's on fire around you like that, you just sit back, you got the best seat in the house.
Just imagine the backs playing on these two, McAdam and, not you, your brother, and Carey. Like, that would have been scary.
And the other thing too, Ronnie, you had Schwartz, Rock, Archer. You know, they're a tight-knit sort of midfield group, hard under. They were really good players.
Well, that's when the zones were back in. Those guys usually all come through under 19s together, so they had a real tight-knit group. They knew how each other played, and they played a lot of football with each other.
Now, Doug, tell us about the Pagan paddock, because I don't think a lot of people really understood it. Tell us what it was in the plan.
Oh, look, it just evolved, Gilly. I won't go right into it, but it was just all the players pushing up the ground and kicking the ball into space, and then having the little guys and myself run onto the ball rather than run up to the ball. So it was one of those things that Gerard Healy said that he called it Pagan's paddock, but it was just something that evolved, and then we started using it as a tactic.
Did it have anything to do with you going back with the flight so much as well?
Yeah, it had a little bit to do with that, but we also had, we had Winston Abraham and we had Brett Allison and these guys that used to run onto the footy, run into space. So
jeez, it's good to have one on here as a guest, isn't it?
Well, let's go to our next game, shall we? North taking on the Saints Sunday at the Docklands.
Yeah, for the Kangaroos, good to see Greenwood in there with Sirakowski, Gisberts and Hine. Unfortunately, Zeebel's out with the suspension. I don't know if it was 3, but he probably should have got 1 maybe. Anyway, I'm not going to say the milestones, but there's some beauties. Anyway, for the St Kilda club, Armitage, Ferguson, Wright and Saunders. And there, legend himself, number 7, Lenny Hayes is out with a calf for the Saints.
Now, Duck, let's talk about the Kangas, because they've got some good quality players down there. We know about Swallow, Harvey, Wright, Petrie, all those sort of guys. But I think that Wells is probably the only elite player in that North Melbourne team. And on Saturday, they lost another close one. They probably need another Carey or someone like you there just to finish off the game, because
one of the elite players that's not going to be there this week is Zeebel. And the guy that just kicked the goal, Swallow, he's another elite player. He's terrific. But Zeebel, for me, match review panel, I tell you, they are putrid. They are absolutely terrible. That was a little bit late, deserved 50 metres, but it didn't hit him high. That's the worst decision ever. 3 weeks, I know he had carryover points, so it was only meant to be 2, but that's just a terrible decision. You're right, they lost the unlosable game, the Kangaroos, so disappointing from that point of view, but Zeebel's decision for 3 weeks, I just think is terrible.
Why is it that North keep getting to that position of losing these close games?
They play a very attacking brand of footy, and they play that right to the final siren. They've got to know when to slow the game down. They had that game in control for most of the day and didn't slow it down halfway. They were 30 points up halfway through the last quarter.
All right, let's get a selection on this game. Your club, the Kangaroos against the Kilda.
For me, the Kangaroos have to win, so they'll definitely bounce.
I think if the Kangaroos can stay composed, I'll get over the line.
Ronnie, the Saints disappointing last week.
Yeah, they were, but I stick with North. They need to win this game, and good to see young Hickey in there.
North have to come out and win this week. Sorry, Gilly.
Yeah, no, look, it'll be a ripper of a game. These two sides actually normally play well against each other. You know me, I'm going to go for the Saints again.
Okay, it's time for Wayne's word now. Over to you, Duck.
Yeah, look, this was thrown up very late, but I must say, with everything that's gone on with Collingwood this year, there's been a lot of talk just lately, and I brought this up last year. When Nathan Buckley took over from Mick Malthouse, there was a lot of discontent within the group. The fact that Malthouse was leaving and Buckley was taking over changed the way they trained. They trained a lot harder. There were a few senior players that weren't happy, and we know what happened last year. They didn't get to the grand final. I thought this year that having a year in the coaching position, they'd get used to Bucks and things would improve. But from what you hear from the outside, a lot of the senior players are not necessarily happy. And I know you hear the same rumours, and I know what rumours are like because there've been enough said. But I just get the feeling that not everything's great down at Collingwood, and they are not playing great footy. As we said a couple of weeks ago, Gold Coast have won Gold Coast have won more quarters than Collingwood this year.
So is it an evolution? Tell us. Is
Well, I just think there's
Is it an evolution?
Is it an evolution? I think there's a few problems down at Collingwood, and I don't think that I don't know. I just don't think that all the senior players are taking on what Nathan Buckley's saying, because they're not the same side they were 2 years ago, and I think their list right now is actually better than what it was 2 years
So
ago.
they should go down to Luna Park and have a day out and enjoy themselves.
Well, what do you think,
They've
John?
had a lot of injuries,
Well, it is.
haven't they? They
No,
haven't
but
had
there's
the
a lot of
best
things
team
coming
on the
out too.
park.
We're talking about skin folds as well. They're worried
geez, you
about
can
those
talk.
sorts of things. Mate, my factor around my story around skin folds is if you can play, you can play. What's wrong with me? I'm looking all right.
Chris, I want to ask you something about this skinfold situation, because there was a bloke by the name of Lake who went from Western Bulldogs to the Hawthorn Footy Club, and they reckon he is so fit because of his skin folds, and they reckon that the Bulldogs, you could get away with it. Now, I reckon this is a great move by Buckley, and this takes a lot of guts by Nathan to do this, and I support him. And you know what, at the end of the day, he sure is going to be a better player for it. Is that fair or not?
Yeah.
No, he's going to be... Well, it's going to make him pump up.
Talking to a bloke that carried weight.
Oh, sorry, I want to ask him.
Let's get a selection on this game, shall we, Duck?
Who are we talking about?
Hollywood. Hang on, Duck.
No.
Hold on a sec. We're losing track
I was
here.
going to say,
Chris, we haven't done the teams yet. Brisbane taking on Collingwood. Tomorrow night at the Wollongabba. Oh, God, we're off track tonight. But anyway, Collingwood, Gilly in.
Yeah, good to see Harwood, Kinesis, Longer and Crisp and Pepperone and Clark. Add the side, Brownie. They're going to miss him with that silly suspension. Leuenberger, Rockcliffe, Lyle Green, Mays. Gee, there's some guns missing from the side for the Collingwood. Good to see Didak back. He's Shaw's back. He's definitely back. Martin along with Thomas and out the side. Russell, Dwyer, Clark and Witts. This will be a good game, this.
It will be, Gilbert. Now, Ronnie, I don't think the Lions are as bad as what people have been perceiving the last few weeks. They've copped a bit of stick, but you look at guys like Buick and there's Hanley that's been fantastic, Rockcliffe. There's some players of the future in that club, don't you think?
Yeah, look, I think your old teammate was under the pump a bit and might be still under the pump a bit. But they've got some good young players. They're young kids that develop. They've played around about 40, 50 games now, Rockcliffe, those type of players, man. And they're actually developing, and I think they're going all right, your boys.
Yeah, look, they'll get better and better with each game they play. They are a young group and inexperienced group running, as you said.
All right, let's get a selection finally. Brisbane or Collingwood, Duck?
Collingwood for me.
After all that.
I'll stick with the
Sack
Lions.
the coach. Ronnie.
No, I'm going for the Pies. You know, Chris, he had a skin for 144 one year.
Gilly, I'm going for Collingwood, and I do think that Nathan Buckley is a very good coach, but he's had a lot of injuries this year at Collingwood, and I think that's prevented them from reaching their best yet. But we're only up to round 10, so there's still a lot more games to go. But Nathan will bounce back because he's very strong-minded about the way that he wants that team to play. So I think they'll bounce back, the Pies.
Yeah, no, look, I'm a big Buckley fan, but I'll tell you something. They're going to look forward, the Collingwood players, to getting out of Melbourne, getting out of Victoria, going to Brisbane, which is non-AFL. That'll probably relax them a little bit, and they'll get over the line.
OK, Gilly, well, let's go to our next game. The Bulldogs taking on Port Saturday night in Darwin. I wish I was going up there, Gilly. It'd be great.
Yeah, well, Ronnie's trying to get over there. Wallace, Talia, good to see him back. Boyd out and Young's out with a calf, but Ronnie, you can't go up there for the game in Darwin anyway. Hitchcock for the Port Adelaide. Humbush and Needs back into the side. Out Thomas Moore and, how do you say it, Colt? I don't know. I'll say Colt.
We might just get some tips on this one, Duck. But Kobe Stevens, just quickly mentioned him. He was great last week. Keep it up, Kobe. He hit a bit of good form. Good player.
Yeah.
Yes, very good player. But I don't know. I just think Port Adelaide will bounce back. I think Port.
Good to see Jakey Need back in Port Adelaide.
Ronnie?
Yeah, Port Adelaide.
The Bulldogs, Gilly, on a roll.
Yeah, no, look, brother, I want to say well done to Kobe Stevens. That was the best game he's ever played. But over in Darwin, good luck, fellas, because it's going to be pretty hot.
No, it's not. It's dry season.
Okay,
I reckon.
Gilly.
Port Power.
All right, now it's time to look at the player of the round, the Marngrook player. And let's have a look how the panel voted for this one, Gilly. And look at that, Adam Goods right out in front. As I said, Gilly, no one bothered to pick him up, and Adam Goods just turn back the clock. At his age, to be playing so well like he does, he was just absolutely sensational.
Yeah, but I'm not going to underestimate Kobe Stevens' performance. For a player that's only just got to the club when they needed to win, that shows a lot of spirit by him.
All right, let's have a look at Adam's stats on the weekend. And as I said, he was here, there and everywhere. No one wanted to pick him up, but he was just sensational. 30 disposals, Gilly.
Yeah, no, look, he's an absolute champion, and we just love watching him, and we want to watch him this week.
Well, 11 marks and 3 goals. Not a bad effort for an old fella, is it?
Yeah, when he played 350-odd games, he's just a freak, that bloke. Amazing.
Well, folks, stick with us because we're going to come back after the break with Shelley Ware. This is Marngrook. Welcome back to Marngrook, and Chris Johnson, Lee Matthews has given you a bit of a bake tonight on the radio, saying that you used to have a hard time with your skin folds, and I can see why, because every opportunity you get, you went into that pizza. And the thing is, Gilly's going to take some home with him as well.
Yeah, nothing like a doggy bag.
No, well, I went and tried to get a couple earlier on, there was none left.
OK, Gilly, it's time to go around the grounds. A big welcome to Shelley Ware.
Thanks, Grant. Congratulations on the doggies win, Grant. I hope the party went well.
Oh, look, it was unfortunate. I wasn't there because I was at the Dreamtime game, so they win and I'm not there. I was disappointed, but happy for the club to win because they badly needed a win.
For sure. Now, in milestones this week, Saints midfielder Lee Montagna reaches 200 games. Congratulations, Lee. And a couple of big milestones took over at North Melbourne this weekend. Brent Harvey reaches an incredible 350 games. And Daniel Wells says he's honoured to be the first Indigenous player to play 200 games for the club.
Read those names out. We had Phil and Jim here last week for Indigenous Round, and they shared their story, and it was the boys absolutely loved it. And to be sort of play the most games out of those guys is it was a real privilege, and very thankful.
Now, Gilly, Daniel Wells is my cousin. Is he your cousin too?
No, he's not.
Just checking. Also, congratulations to Charbel and Charlie from St Mary's Junior Football Club, who will both play their 50th game on Sunday. Now, if you've got a milestone from your local football club, we'd love to hear about it, so send them in to me and I'll make sure that I give them a mention. Now, the uproar over the Brisbane Lions official jumper, Chris, has flared up again, with fans this week planning to gather signatures at the petition tomorrow night's game. The members are incensed that the new jumper, the so-called paddle pop jumper, has been introduced without consultation. Now, do you think that we should return to the original logo of the jumper?
Yeah, I think we should. It was something that wasn't consulted with the members. The club just went ahead and done it. I think it's a great jumper. That is, it holds a lot of history. Yep. You don't see the great clubs like Collingwood and North Melbourne and the teams like Geelong changing their jumpers too much. So very disappointing to see that happen. But certainly you can go to the Lions Raw website, get on there and show your support, because we want to try and get this jumper back. And there's a big group going out to the game Friday night to hand some pamphlets and stuff out. So about 1,000 people to hand some things out. So
sensational. Now, it was great to see lots of local football clubs getting involved in Indigenous Round last weekend. Locally, the Fitzroy Junior Football Club held a game at Victoria Park where they awarded an Indigenous Round medal to the best player. And here he is. Well done, young man, and well done, Fitzroy Junior. And I went down to the Diamond Creek Junior Football Club to toss the coin and talk to the boys and hand out some medals last Sunday for their special Indigenous Round game. So thanks for having me, Creekers. And of course, I'm going to the game with my young fella Taj and his mate Asher to watch the Blues smash the Giants. And the rest of my tips are on the Marngrook website. Yes, I am still leading. Oh. Just on the Eddie thing, I just think we should all remember that words have consequences. And on a more positive note, Layla and I went down to the Long Walk Boys on Saturday night, which started at Federation Square.
Well, Shelley, the Dreamtime game is starting very, very soon and everyone's getting ready to do the long walk.
And I can't wait, Layla, so let's get in the line so we can meet the other participants who are walking to the G with Michael Long. How do you feel when you lead all these people to the MCG?
Oh, look, it's just great that there's so much great will and beautiful people that really want to make change, in their own backyard. And I think football's been the greatest educator, and I've been lucky to be part of that now, obviously influencing the community. But it's about the community, about making change, and they're the ones who are going to make that.
David, what does Indigenous Round mean to you?
Oh, it's just significant because we get to not only recognise every Indigenous person that's ever played AFL footy, but I think as far as Aboriginal affairs is concerned, right across Australia, it's just a massive week for us all to share, and we talk about reconciliation, and that's probably what it's all about.
It's good to recognise the Aboriginal community. It's a fantastic event, and it's great to do the walk. This is our first time doing it, so
it means that all the Aboriginals come together and they celebrate and stuff.
We organise this through our school. We're part of the AAA group, Aboriginal Awareness Agents. So we've got a few boys this year to show them the experience.
This is the first time I've been in it. I always watch it, always look forward to this round, and it's good to be a part of it.
Go Richmond!
Well, Shell, once again, the long walk was a huge success. So let's go inside, find our seats, and maybe get a hot dog.
Well, I hope it's a close game, Layla, so let's get in there and cheer on our boys.
And what a great night it was too, Gilly. Let's take a look at the Tigers. Now they take on the Eagles Monday night at Subiaco.
For the Eagles, good to see Selwood in there, McGinnity and Embley, so they've got some stars coming back in the side for the Richmond Tigers. Edwards, good to see him there. Asprey, Arnott, Day and Helbig. Out the side, Magwanza omitted. That's interesting because he's probably been one of their main forwards. Nahas also been omitted, and Eagles, fellas, they're heading towards the top four. They're in great form.
Ronnie, you look at the West Coast forwards and you look at guys like Lacroix, Darling Hill, and then you look at the Richmond defence, and they haven't got a lot of big stars down there, but they're going to have their work cut out trying to contain those sorts of guys. And Darling and Kennedy have been in really good form the last few weeks.
Yeah, the West Coast, they've got big tools there. Lacroix, he's a danger man as well, and young Gaff. Josh Hill's been terrific since he's come across from the Bulldogs, and he's been kicking some goals. But, they've got some big guys, and Nicky Nack can push down there in the forward line. But it's going to be some worrying signs for the back six of the Tigers with Morris, Newman and Basher Hooley. They've really got to match up, so watch out for the West Coast forward line.
All right, let's get a selection on this one, Duck, quickly.
West Coast at home.
Tough one, West Coast. I was going to go Richmond.
I knew you were. Quickly, Ronnie.
Tigers.
West Coast Eagles easily, Gilly, for me. West Coast.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good game, but I reckon it'll be closer than a lot of people think. Richmond will give it to them, but Eagles will win in the end.
All right. Well, let's go to the last game of the night, and it's between the Blues and the Giants, Saturday at the Docklands.
Yeah, for the Blues, good to see Yaron back in there and Casbolt out the side. Warnock with a knee, they'll miss him, and Lucas, they'll miss him with a hammy for the GWS Giants. Brogan in there, along with Townsend and Wilson, and out the side, Gillum, Alpin and Miles.
Just quickly, Duck, McLean's been good this year. Garlett's been in sensational form, and they should have too much experience over the Giants this weekend.
Yeah, one would think so, but these are the games where Carlton have struggled at different times, but I'd expect them to be too good.
Anyone game enough to go for GWS?
Carlton.
Okay, everyone's going for Carlton. Gilly, I tell you what, we're just about out of time, so we should thank our special guest for coming in tonight, Jack Gunston.
Yeah.
We've got the son of Norm either.
I was going to say, well done to the Hawthorn Footy Club for letting him come on too.
Okay,
Good stuff.
And a big thank you to Layla and Shelley, of course. And we're going to leave you tonight with one of the Indigenous stars in the music scene across Australia, Glenn Skewthorpe. Has got a great song. This one's called The Road Before You Go. We hope you've enjoyed the show tonight, folks, and we'll be back next week with the best footy show in the land, Marngrook Footy Show.
Don't sit there and judge me, you don't know me, 'cause I'm not the one you're looking for. Your mind may be dark, cold and lonely. Is it any wonder you got to choose it all? The road is dusty out on the freeway. Those chilly winds could cut you like a knife. Mary, don't be fooled by all these conceptions, 'cause what it takes is a mind that has it all. The road is long, the road lies before you. So you may think that you were blessed with honesty. Come to it, you haven't walked the line. All you see is bitterness and heartbreak. Close the door and you won't see the light. The road is long, the road lies before you. The road is long, the road lies before you. The road is long, the road lies before you. The road is long, the road lies before